All right, we'll call the meeting to order. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, thank you all for coming. So what we figured we'd do first is I would go through what the discussion has already been between us and Hebron. Nothing has been approved, nothing has been decided. This is just items that we have talked about. And I'm hoping that a lot of what we go through will answer the majority of your questions. And if not, at the end will be the questions and concerns or anything that you may have. So, current information, pretty much what Hebron had said is they would stay the same as what we do for football. So it would be RTH, Richardton-Taylor, Hebron. Our colors would be the same, the royal blue and silver. Mascot would be the Raider. Activity passes, so Hebron activity passes would work here, our activity passes would work there. So in those cases, something different than football. Currently, RT pays the majority of the expenses for football, but if we do a 50-50 split of expenses, then Hebron would start paying 50% of our football costs as well. And then these are the things we talked about. One thing was, do we want to do all sports at once? Or do we want to start with girls basketball, boys basketball, do volleyball the following year? Or how we want to do that? Their board has said that if we're going to do it, we should just do everything right away. But if we do everything right away, there are some fines that we would have to look at. That's coming up in a little bit. But we're looking at co-oping in all extracurricular activities eventually, whether that's right away or down the road. So football we already do. Girls basketball, boys basketball, volleyball, track, cross country, and then we started talking about some of the fine arts stuff. About like FFA, they have a very good FFA program, so maybe the Richardton-Taylor kids could take part in that. We have speech and drama, maybe some of their kids want to take part of our speech and drama. FBLA, we're starting an FBLA chapter here, so maybe they want to start, coming over for that. The other thing we talked about is what grades. So do we start elementary through seniors? Do we do junior high through seniors? Or where do we start? So again, these are conversations that we've had. The overall general feeling is if we want the kids working together and playing together as a team, maybe we want to start them at the elementary level together so they know each other. But then we worry about travel time with those little kids, about where are they going to practice, how far are they going to travel, so on and so forth with that. Other things we talked about that we would come together, pep rallies, we would want to do as one entity. Prom, we talked about our homecomings, which we already do kind of together. Snow day, snowball, and then of course those would be high school or junior high when appropriate. But we would want to keep our co-curriculars separate. So co-curriculars such as spelling bee, geography bee, Olympics, those types of things would be separate between the schools. So our team would still do our Olympics, our spelling kids, geography kids, they would do their own as well. One thing that they had talked about, if we do a 50-50 split, talked about having 50% of the games here, 50% of the games in Hebron. So currently, this year, I think we had 7 volleyball games, 5 girls basketball home games and 5 boys basketball home games. So altogether, we had about 20 home games with all those events. If we co-op and we decide to share that 50-50, we drop to 10 home games. And then 10 would be in Hebron, which is still would be a home game because we're going together, if that makes sense. The school that's hosting the game would do the concessions, game workers, and referees. So then that would work out in the end in the wash because it'd be, like I said, as close to 50-50 as we can get. They brought up having a joint pep band, so having our band members get together and play at the events. And then if there's any playoff games, we would rotate. So first playoff game, let's say, is here. Second playoff game would be there, so on and so forth, to make it as even as possible. Except for football, they're not going to put in the field. Okay, any questions on that part first? And then we'll get into numbers next. Okay. All right, numbers. So there's 2 numbers that we have to be cognizant of. The first one is that 325. That 325 number is enrollment for grades 9 through 12. Anything above 325 is Class A. Anything below 325 is Class B. And that's just schools. Because in North Dakota, we only have 2 classes, A and B. In certain sports, we have different divisions, and we'll get to that in a little bit. Currently, our enrollment, 9 through 12, is around 90. Hebron's enrollment, 9 through 12, is around 40. So we're looking at about 130 kids. So we're way lower than that 325. So if you're looking at the difference between a Class A school and a Class B school, we have a long way to go before we were moved up. Now the divisions are a little bit different. So since we went to 3 divisions in basketball and volleyball, we have a different number. And that enrollment is 162.5. So your AA schools, Bismarck Centuries, Tandans, Grand Forks, Fargos, anything above a 650 enrollment in grades 9 through 12 is the AA. Anything between 162.5 and that 649 is Class A, or Division A. Anything below that 162.5 enrollment is Division B, where we are currently. So again, if you remember back on this slide, combined, we'd have around 130. We're still below that 162.5, so we wouldn't move up. Later in a few years, if we have a growing population or if things go, then you could get to that 162.5. And then you would have to move up. But, I mean, a lot of things can happen in a few years. So maybe that number is not going to stay the same. Maybe it'll go lower, maybe it'll go higher. I mean, nobody really knows.
What are the classes, the younger classes, are they bigger?
Younger classes are bigger. Well,
How many years until we're really close to that?
you're jumping ahead. So, girls basketball, boys basketball, and girls volleyball are all treated the same. That 162.5 is the magic number. Track, speech, 1X, those go off of that 325. So for track, you have 2 classes. You have a Class A and a Class B. Speech, 1X, same thing. You have a Class A and a Class B. They don't have separate divisions underneath.
We did get notified as ADUs that they're potentially looking at going to a 3-class system for cross-country in the next year or 2, and then the year after that, probably track would follow, just like volleyball and basketball.
Yeah. And I'm guessing it would be the same cutoff
Yeah.
as everything else. Okay, so what Dustin was saying, how long before we reach that? So what we did is we took our elementary enrollment and moved them forward every year. So this is this year. We have 90 high schoolers. They have 41. We're at 131. Next year, we graduated the seniors, brought up the 8th graders. So next year, we're still 90. They're still 41. We're still at 131. The following year is the first year when we get a larger class in that 9th grade. So then we jump to 103. They jump to 50. We're at 153. Okay? So it would be about 8 years. This is the 8th year, and that's if everything stays the same. Nobody moves in, nobody moves out. So then at that 33-34 school year is when we jump over that 162.5. And again, in that 8 years, who knows what's going to change.
Regulations may change too.
Right. Projected numbers of kids on teams. So this is just projected for next year if the co-op goes through. Elementary girls basketball, we have 15 to 20 girls that are interested. Hebron has 7 in grades 4 through 6. So they're looking at a total, or we're looking at a total of 27 students that would be on the elementary girls basketball. Junior high girls basketball, total of 11. High school girls basketball, total of 18. Boys basketball, we have a lot more boys playing basketball, total of 34. Junior high boys, total of 21. High school boys, total of 28. So you can see they're not really bringing a ton of kids to play sports, but all of their kids count when we're looking at what division we're in, not just the ones that play. Questions up to there?
And that's just a 1-year snap.
Yep, this is just next year.
Possibly next year.
Yeah. In football, I think they had 2 coming that they're projecting to come over next year. That's double.
Okay, I have a question on the slide before.
Okay.
So if you go up and it goes for every 3 years, and then year 8 is projected that you guys are going to be possibly above that number, then when do they decide that you're going to be Class A in that time frame?
So the first year we hit that, we would probably be okay because they're going to look at last year's numbers. But then it would be the following year
So you
where
could
they
do
would move us up.
three 3-year co-ops
Well,
before you got moved up to Class A.
right. Yeah, if you think about it that way.
No, it's 3 years, the first one is 3 years, and then it's year to year after that.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, that's how it is.
Yeah. So your co-op, if you co-op, your co-op until the high school activities dissolve.
Okay.
The first 3 years, I think that's coming up too. Bottom one. So minimum of 3 years for a co-op. After the 3-year period, if one of the schools wants out, they can petition the athletic, the Valley City, and if they approve it, your co-op's done. If they don't approve it, you're still in the co-op. I don't think they'd ever have done that. If you want to dissolve it within the first 3 years, if both schools agree, yeah, it's not working, it doesn't work, or we agree that we want to dissolve it, then they could do it right away within that first 3 years. But after that, after the first 3 years, if one school wants to get out, they petition High School Activities Association, and it goes from there. This is where the late fee is also at. So if we did the co-op, Hebron and RT would fill out one application, saying everything that we want to do. The deadline is before the end of the prior season. So if we wanted to do this for next year, we have to get it done before the end of girls basketball and boys basketball. Volleyball is already over. So if we wanted to include volleyball, there would be a $500 late fee with that application. Same with track. If we wanted track to be together for this year, there would be that $500 late fee for track. Your drop dead deadline for fall sports is June 1st. So even if anything comes in the fall sport, after June 1st, they're going to deny it. They're not even going to look at it. Winter sports, the deadline is September 15th. Spring sports, deadline is January 15th. That was my spiel. What's your questions, comments, concerns? A, nay?
Was Hebron asking for this and why? Was there, because they're currently with Glen Ellen. Is there,
The main, yes, Hebron came and asked us, they approached us first. The main reason is because they haven't had girls basketball for the last 2 years now. So they have some girls, 2 or 3 girls that want to play, and between Hebron and Glen Ellen, they don't have enough girls that want to play to make a team.
Why not just let them open and roll like football? Like just let the girls come around?
Well, you can't. Because football, we have a co-op.
Yeah, but like we're open and roll with Dickens and for some of the sports that we don't have.
Right, but they still went through the co-op process for that. Yeah, yep.
Well, they would have to undo their co-op with Glen Ellen for girls basketball first, right? And then
Correct,
let them come over.
correct.
And that has to be dissolved before any action can be taken, right? On either side of the little Ellsberg.
Our boards could agree, our boards could put in the application, but then it's up to high school activities to deal with that.
So let's say the decision is made that you're just gonna pick and choose which sports are gonna be in this first 3 years. Then all of a sudden you have a team that maybe, it's looking like you're gonna need numbers or whatever. Can that be changed, or can it leave, like, say, the open co-op, and as you need them, they can come and go?
No, it has to be, so let's say we didn't do volleyball, and we had a drastic cut in volleyball, we couldn't go back and say, okay, now we want a
They
volleyball.
have to be 3 years.
Yeah, that would be a new application, a brand new co-op, and that would be a separate 3 years than the basketball co-op.
But it is sport by sport though? Like girls basketball could be separate from boys basketball as far as school co-ops, or do you have to co-op?
No, it can be sport by
It can be
sport.
sport by sport.
Yep, yep. Chris?
It seems like Hebron doesn't bring a lot to us in this system. I mean, we lose half our home games, so there was a revenue for that. They don't do a lot for busing because basically everything is, we're heading that way anyway, so we just pick them up and take them with us. And the only year we only had short sports, we had the girls basketball team was short this year, big.
Yeah.
And everything else, we're gonna bring more kids in. We might lose some of our kids because they don't want to have to compete with somebody else. I mean, because how many schools do you go to that actually play 3 varsity games, Gary? I mean, that's the first time I drove the other night. That's the first time I sat through 3 varsity games.
It kind of comes and goes.
Right.
So, I mean, I don't think, we really don't need their numbers. I mean, it'd be us who work with them a favor. I mean, because we've always had enough teams. I mean, if they brought us a bunch of football kids, we'd different story, but they bring say 3, 2, 1.
But I mean, the flip side of that, yes, we're losing 10 home games, but they're paying for 50% of the expenses.
True. But
And that 50% of expenses is gonna be a lot more than what we get in on gate.
But I mean, with some of our kids go on the teams because they don't want to compete. I mean, because kids don't want to sit on the bench. Just, like say in basketball, normally you play, you're lucky to get a JV and a varsity game. But now we got 10 more of their kids, now we got to play their kids, so we're going to have kids sitting and they're just going to go to hell of it. They're just not going to play.
I think we have to create those opportunities though.
There's only
We're
so
gonna
many
have
teams
to
that
see
have
some-
one.
Yeah, there's not many C-squad teams out there.
Well, then we find those teams that do and we create those
Nobody does.
opportunities.
They get Class A.
Yeah.
We get the
Why
Class A.
aren't they creating opportunities for their kids then? Like, we went into our elementary basketball program for boys and girls, and we did the Waymaker, and we worked on getting them excited about basketball and these sports. And now look at how many boys, when Greg was a freshman, there was a handful of upperclassmen. Now coming in, we have 3 teams.
But it didn't work for the girls.
I think you're right with the boys, so the teams are working with the girls and we're struggling with the girls right now.
Like, have we looked at why the girls in, like, aren't playing basketball? Well, there's lots of girls that aren't on for basketball that could be.
Let's see that Germany's program. Girls are tired of it. My daughter doesn't play because when she was on the court, she was told to stand in the corner and that's her position. She never got the ball, she wasn't on plays, they just got sick of just being there as a number. I mean, they have, the girls, not to be sexist, but girls are a lot harder than boys to play sports with, period.
I think, but the girls' issue isn't a Richardton-Taylor issue or a Hebron issue. It's statewide. If you look at basketball numbers, girls and boys throughout the state, girls' numbers are way lower than what boys are. They just are not interested in basketball like they used to be.
Yeah, we have the volleyball program.
Right.
A lot of the state has girls wrestling now too, so that's taken some girls basketball players.
Right. But if you, I mean, I see your point, Chris, but if we're looking at just high school, so they're gonna bring, let's say, 6
Yeah,
high school
it's
girls
not gonna be that
over.
big of a difference.
What's that?
Yeah, what do we have, we already have
Right.
kids that don't play.
And then last year when we were looking for games, I mean, you can find them. There's schools that want to play a C squad. Dickinson Trinity has a ton of C squad teams. They can't get enough games. So it might be a situation where we're playing Dickinson High or Dickinson Trinity, Bismarck, there's C squad instead of others. Yeah.
So like elementary, we'll have practice over there then too, like we have to go, like, parents will have to go all the way to Hebron.
That would have to all be decided, but I think if it's gonna be like that, we would have to do busing. So we would bus, if the practice is over there, we'd bus kids over there and bring them back.
So how does that work with the time change?
I mean, really, it's gonna be harder for them than it is on us, because we don't let out of school until 3:15. So we're not gonna let kids out of school early to go practice early. So,
But then on the flip side of that too, like if you think, so even if you look at our numbers for any of those numbers, any of those sports, whether it's elementary or high school. So we're gonna put 25% of us over there for 6 of their kids. I mean, you know what I mean?
yeah.
It seems like it's a hard sell to affect us as much as
Yeah, because we're always them more than us.
I mean, I
But-
understand, but I just.
Right, but if you're using their gym for practice, and I'm just playing devil's advocate, I'm not trying to push one way or the other. If you use that gym for practices, then that means our high schoolers or whoever's here get done earlier.
But then who's gonna drive the bus? I mean, we're short on bus drivers.
That's why perfect world coaches, we'd have a coach from here and a coach from there, and they would be the bus drivers back and forth. But again, that's a perfect world, which we know we don't live in.
Mr. Ziegler, you just said something I want to facilitate conversation on. You said coach from here, coach from there. Was there any discussion at this point on coaching? Or has that been not
As far
discussed
as-
yet?
Are they gonna pay for coaches? Are we getting one of their coaches? Do we stay with the coaches we have?
For, as,
Working together.
right now, we would stay with our coaches. I mean,
All the way across the board.
what's that?
All the way across.
All the way across the board. We're not gonna give up any of our coaches. Like you said, I mean, we're the ones providing most of the numbers. But yes, the 50-50, that's when they would pay for 50% of the expenses, which would count coaches' salaries. That's part of the expenses.
So just for clarification, it wasn't in the PowerPoint, but that's been agreed upon already that.
Nothing's been agreed.
Oh,
It's just
okay.
things that we've talked about.
You
Yeah.
suggested, but that the Richardton-Taylor coaches remain as the coaching.
Right.
And none of the Hebron coaches are offered any positions or?
Depends upon what we need. I mean, like, football, it's always nice to have a Hebron coach, because then they drag their boys over
Okay.
for the high school. Same thing, if we need a coach, it would be nice to have some Richardson coaches and Hebron coaches together, because then they know the kids.
Volleyball, we have 15, we have 15, it's basically even, so.
Right.
Are they gonna be upset if they don't have a coach?
Right now, their coach is Lenore. So then that's where the,
Mr. Ziegler, it also it's not for sure that it has to go down from 4 through 12. If we can decide.
everything can be changed or adjusted,
Just
or.
because it's a co-op doesn't mean it has to start at elementary, like we get to decide
Right.
that as well.
When Myron approached me, he said 9 through 12, and then the second time he talked to me, he said, well, talking to other people, they said they wouldn't want to go down lower. And so then that kind of opened the door.
So, I mean, the main thing about this meeting is we want your concerns, your questions, so the board, when they make a decision, they have, you know, how the community feels and can make the right decision for our community. So if you're thinking of something, please
Why
say
don't you guys
that.
just do it on the girls' basketball thing and call it a day?
What's that, sorry?
Why don't you guys just do it on the girls' basketball thing, that's the issue, and call it a day?
Absolutely, we can do that, yeah.
Instead of doing a 50-50 split, if Richardson actually bumped it up to like 70, but all the games and everything stay here.
They talked about that a little bit. We also talked about maybe just doing like 1 or 2 games there, just because of the number of kids that are coming over, you know, and so anything is open right now. So that is a definite possibility.
That's kind of a big issue with me, I guess. Selfishly, you know, Braden Senior and all that, we have 5 home games. Well, if you take 2 or even 3 of those away, it's like, I mean, 2 home games or maybe 3, you know, so to me, that's kind of a, like I said, more selfishly, but that's kind of an issue. It's like, I mean,
That's where, I mean, and it does take the mind shift where, yes, it's in Hebron, but it's still a home game, you know, and that's hard to.
But on the flip side of that too, from a coach's standpoint, it's not home court advantage anymore either.
That's why you want to practice there as well.
But the thing, I guess the thing is for me is if it did come to that like this, to say 1 or 2, I would concede to say I don't want to be a region or a district 8. It would have to be, you know, something that doesn't mean anything, you know. But like John said too, looking at 5 home games this year, it'd be tough to give any of them up, even 1 of them up.
That's where it's that mind shift. I mean, it's still a home game.
It'd be a big lunch shift.
Yeah, it would be. Yeah, I'm not saying it's not. It definitely would be.
I think there's probably some concern from student athletes in particular in this, you know, that I've talked to in my house. But, you know, I'm trying to look at it from the big picture and coaching for a while here and seeing the numbers diminish as we get out of elementary and we get to high school, junior high. We just can't hang on to in basketball, and I know it is a statewide thing. Is that gonna reverse in 5 years? Hopefully, I don't know, maybe it's a trend, but maybe it's also hockey and it's wrestling and it's all, there's more things to do. But like from the business of running a school and having enough girls to fill up a team, it's pretty hard right now. I don't know that it's gonna get much better for girls basketball.
Right.
Looking at the numbers here, but, so I'm slightly supportive of that one particular sport, I guess, but I know my daughter's not excited at all. But it takes a mind shift. You have to convince the kids too that, playing time isn't just given because you're the only one there. You don't just always get to play, and that's something we haven't had to deal with here.
Right.
Other schools that you gotta try out and you gotta earn your spot. And maybe it would spark more development and a little bit more off-season work. I don't know. Or maybe they just give up and wouldn't play, which I'm sure a handful of them will do that too.
Right.
Would the girls, they have to play for 2 years. If we don't go off with them, they won't play again. What about the other sports? They're not going to go off the board,
I'm sure if we say no, we're not co-oping, they would stay with Glen Ellen.
What's going on then do then if you release?
They approached New Salem and New Salem told them no.
So we should probably be nice and tell Hebron no.
But that's not helping the girls basketball.
So would Glen
One
Ellen,
thing to keep in mind too is, yeah, we don't have a real big problem right now, but down the road, it's been mentioned that as kids get out of grade school and into junior high and elementary, or into high school, that's where we start losing numbers. And yeah, we don't have a problem now, but what happens if we do? And we need to decide not to do the co-op now. And down the road, if something happens where we're in a situation where we want to co-op and then there's nobody to co-op with. That's the one thing I always try to keep in mind too is, yeah, we're in a great situation right now, but what happens if, right? We don't want to be the people that don't offer that support to our kids. And I think doing this is going to help eliminate that problem down the road.
The enrollment numbers look like they'll have to go up.
Well, right, I understand that, but the trend of kids not competing in sports has continued to go down. So on the same note, I just don't want to ever be in a situation where we're the ones out trying to find because we don't have the opportunity for our kids to play either.
But even with enrollment numbers, they decreased because Jenna graduated last year. They started with 36 kids in elementary and finished with 24. I mean, I don't think, I think those numbers are really optimistic. I don't think we're going to hit the 160, 25 per year. I mean, you lose kids year after year after year. I mean, Josie's class is doing the same thing. So, I mean,
When you gain numbers, it's not very often in 9 through 12.
Right. And I think when you lose numbers, it's the same. It's not very often your high schoolers.
Do we think we'd lose some Gladstone and Taylor kids to Dickinson?
I don't think so.
Will we lose any coaches having to go over there and practice with the extra time frame and then you get home evenings to their families?
That's something that
I'm talking from 4th grade all the way through 12.
That's
a lot of coaches to change.
Right. Can't say we won't and can't say we will. I mean, it is more.
But with more gym space available, potentially you might be able to find some coaches because they're not going to have to coach until 7, 8 o'clock at night also. So we don't know what's going to happen.
Right, just from my personal experience, Hebron is real short on coaches for the younger kids. Like there's a couple of them that if you want to go to a game, they're coaching volleyball, they're coaching basketball, it's like we don't have a lot of coaches.
I guess as like a student athlete myself, like kind of building off of what Ty said, is like looking at the numbers for me, like how is that fair to like the Hebron girls that say want to go out for basketball? They don't have a team. Like, I guess that's one of my biggest things. And like, yeah, we might lose some starting spots for like girls basketball or boys basketball to Hebron kids, but it's also where like that competitive factor comes in. Like you have to be there, you have to put in the time, you have to put in the work for the starting spot. It's just kind of how I see it as an athlete myself. And like for track too, our numbers are going down. Cross country, we don't even have a full girls team. Like for those specific sports, it would be a big benefit, or a lot of benefit for us.
I think going off of that too, another thing, like looking past just the sports, is the different extracurricular activities that our kids can gain from like FFA and stuff. Some of those are important to remember besides just these numbers.
Right.
What about the Glen Ellen kids that could not be able to play the participate sports? Those kids don't matter?
I think Glen Ellen's not themselves. Because Glen Ellen, CoOp, Twitch, some Salem, that's actually, kids don't want to do with Glen Ellen anymore.
Yeah.
I don't know what they're doing.
I mean, it's Glen Ellen right now, I mean, they don't have girls basketball, just like Hebron does it. So, I mean, it's the same, there's girls there that probably want to play.
No, but I'm saying if we join with Hebron though, that there would be, you do only girls basketball, yes, but if you do all the sports, whatever, there'd be, Glen Ellen would be left high and dry, and they wouldn't have enough kids for a team problem.
And well, each sport is different because they have good numbers, but most of them are Glen Ellen kids.
Well, can Glen Ellen field a high school boys basketball team without the 3 Hebron boys next year? If Hebron doesn't co-op with Glen Ellen for boys basketball in high school.
From what I know, they graduated a lot of seniors this year. So they're going to be in a pretty big either way.
Right. So I think that's the point that he's making.
Yeah,
Which is something that, right, we might need to consider.
That's one of the things that sparked the conversation was they knew we were low in girls, they didn't have girls, and then they're worried about their boys potentially in the next year or two because they lose large classes of kids.
So they need Hebron for boys basketball.
Hebron, they said next year, Hebron went on, it's questionable whether they'd have 5 or 6 kids that would actually play high school. But that's what the kids that are coming out now. And it changes. They were told that they were going to have 8 girls show up for girls basketball. 3 committed. That's why they had to cancel their season like 2 weeks before we started. And then the rest of us are trying to fill in because we want to get as much exposure as we can. For us, it worked out great. We got to play some really high quality teams, but there's other teams that are like, they're already on my waiting list. If Glen Ellen and Hebron don't have a team, I've got 6 teams signed up that want to play over our region because they lose that game. So it's going to be a little bit of a ripple effect all the way through.
Are they facing any fines because they're not offering girls basketball with like the Title IX stuff?
They're offering it. They're not getting enough girls to play.
I guess on the volleyball side, I think we have a tremendous amount of kids that are going out, and so do they, it looks like, so that might be something to look at, just taking off the board, just because there's so many kids in each school.
Yeah.
That you might run into trouble there, but getting playing time.
I think it also really, like volleyball, if you look at 15, it'd be hard to fill 3 teams with 15 girls. Whereas if you have 30 girls, then it'd be easy to fill those 3 teams, A, B, and C. So I mean, it depends upon.
I also feel that some of these girls are playing volleyball because they can't play basketball, so they're just going off for sport just to do something. So some might start going off for basketball and not play volleyball.
I think if we did have a good cross-country
you would lose some volleyball girls to cross-country. Because there has been some girls that have wavered between the two.
Great.
But they've always felt there wasn't a big enough team of cross-country, so they stayed with volleyball.
Do they have to, just for my clarity, they have to choose right now?
No,
between-
they can do both.
Oh, they can do both?
But they
Okay,
have
just
to register
curious.
one as like their primary, so if they
Oh.
both have a competition on the day, then they would pick the one that they would choose to perform in. If they can't get, some of them go run cross country and come and play volleyball.
Okay, yeah, thanks for the clarification on that.
But they do have to choose one that they would choose over the other, so then it's like done and there's no arguments.
For that sport, I would guess for the most part, rarely they conflict.
Just once in a while if it ends up getting rescheduled,
Okay.
that's about it.
Anything else?
As a coach, since I've been a coach for a while, but there is a lot more things people are interested in doing besides like the sports that are on the screen here.
Right.
But as far as like kids coming and going, committing to Hebron, I guess I don't know if that's an issue for them. It'd be an issue for where I live. If I was interested in coaching again, I'd probably hope if I have to commute with Hebron, with Hebron, and lots of kids come out. We have trouble with coaches. If a lot of kids start coming out, like, is 3 coaches even enough in the Taylor gym to handle 27 kids? You know, if we get all these kids together, what are they benefiting if we're getting, I don't know, too many together at once anyhow?
Right. No, I
can't find out. It's hard to find out and watch drivers and stuff like that.
Yep.
I guess.
Yeah, to keep developing our own athletes, also you stick 35 elementary volleyball girls in a gym, and how do you help them keep developing when we struggle to find the coaches in general?
Right.
I think
That's
that's
valid
piggyback
question.
off of that too is if we are having some people maybe underdeveloped coaching, are we wanting to develop them more to handle the stress of that? And also maybe, the riffraff that comes with competing in spots.
Sorry, say that last part again?
Well, I think that if we do go through with this, our numbers show that, it's going to be a competitive season. And I think we should make sure our coaches are able to handle that and know how to approach things and handle situations like that.
But I think what they're saying too, though, is that some coaches don't want to do that.
Right. But maybe it'd help if we, made them feel like we have their back and want to develop them.
Right.
As we can.
Feeding off that too, is 4th, 5th, and 6th boys basketball, where you got 2 coaches for the later. Three, you did have 3? Okay, that's right. But last year you only had 2, correct? Right, and then one of them, I think, was, those students, one quit, and there's just one, where one moved on to different teams. That's my deal, is that, and then also it's over at Taylor, and it's just one court. I mean, it's hard to practice with 30-some kids on one court.
It can be unproductive.
Right, I mean, are they getting anything out of that? Too? And if we're gonna add our 10 players to that, or whatever we can get.
But that flows through me for high school. If I take my 26 over there right now, there are usually between, we'll say, 12 and 16 kids standing around.
Right, exactly.
Because you can't keep everybody busy. And it's hard because obviously their practice time is just as important as the next kid's practice time. And if you're trying to build a program, you have to make sure that you're taking care of every single one of those kids. And it is hard to have them stand around even
And
here.
that's where you lose the players as well.
Yes,
They're not getting in
exactly.
there, they're saying, well, they're benching. Well, how can we bench you if you can't play right now? Because there's no room.
Like Taylor with boys basketball is parks, and Hebron's doing the same as Taylor's. To have all those in there, like the high school boys, when they practice here, there's enough hoops to keep more of them busy.
Hebron, don't they have the ones that come down?
They don't allow
Is that something that could get put in at Taylor's for hoops, side hoops?
There are 2.
Coaches don't believe. You can't play subs.
Yeah, Taylor's, the problem with Taylor is it's narrow.
Yeah.
It's not wide.
Because it's not necessarily, you could put 16 hoops in here, it's not
Right.
gonna help me,
Right.
when there's not any space. I mean, there's, like today we had 6 stations going, you know, and there was a lot of running into each other because of the stations that we were doing. I mean, but that's what you deal with. There isn't really anything else you can do, but every kid was doing something. And over there, I think it's just that they're on the wall, but they come out to where then it shortens up if you want to, if that makes sense. Yeah. So one side theoretically is like Taylor's, and one side is like ours. But even shooting free throws over in Taylor, you can't use those side doors because there's not.
So from my point of view, would it be more feasible to have, just look at like junior high, 7th grade on up? Are you guys thinking high school and up only? Leave elementary, let them do their development, let them do their thing because we obviously have enough? I mean, that's the kind of questions that we need to hear from you guys. If it's something where we want to leave the elementary alone, we have that option. But we can't say we're not going to and then decide the last second that we need to because, we lost a bunch of kids or lower numbers. That's the backdoor trap. Because it's unfortunately we have to kind of predict what we think we're going to need. And it's so uneasy. So that's just something to kind of keep in your head and let these guys know. Do you want to leave elementary alone? Let them do their thing, let them develop as they need to. Do we want to start at 7th grade? Do we want to start at 9th grade? Those are the big keys because that's going to determine a lot on what we do going forward. Because they're completely different talks. 7 through 12, 7 through 12, 9 through 12, 4 to 12 are 3 completely different conversations.
But the board of the elementary isn't governed by the.
No.
What's that?
No, the only time they worry about numbers is 9 through 12. But, like for, cross country and track, they have that 325 number. So we kind of leave them out of the conversation because we're way below that. We're like half of that. But for the other ones, like I said, it's a different type of conversation that we have to start. And it's a different type of application that we would possibly have to do.
You can enter into a co-op, a 3-year, has to be 3 years when you sign for the co-op, for 7th grade through senior this year, or for next year, or whatever you want to say.
Right.
And leave the elementaries out of the scope of it. And if we decide in 1, 2, 5 years that our elementary numbers are not there, and we need a co-op to at that point in time, you can start another co-op.
We wouldn't need to. Like what was said, elementary doesn't, they're not counted. So, elementary really isn't part of the co-op, and we wouldn't put them on the application either way.
Junior high would have to be in the application, but elementary is not.
Right.
And elementary is kind of, you can have some cities or some schools that it's parent run. It's not even through the school. Yeah, or park board. Like, I know Bowman, I don't know if they still do it, their park board takes care of everything, and we can't go down, they can't leave the bus up here until a certain time, because that's when they're allowed to let the kids out of school, because it's not school related. So elementary is a different one, but if we're looking at it, the only reason we have to have a conversation would be for facilities, and for coaching and busing.
I think I would leave elementary alone. At least your 4, 5, and 6, because that's where they can be in smaller groups and you can develop probably better athletes that way in a smaller group and then combine later.
Yeah, it looks like girls basketball to me is the one that maybe we could use them, but I guess quality over quantity. Everybody's right that said you have 30 kids in the gym, you're not helping anybody. even if we have 19 on our boys basketball team next year, whatever it's gonna be, I mean, that's plenty, in my opinion.
So I agree with what you both said, but I don't know how you blend the teams together when you make it junior high to create a team.
Say that again?
I don't know how you create a team in junior high when you don't grow up together in the sport.
That's,
I think you'll always have the Hebron kids and you'll always have the Richardton-Taylor.
They have that concern over just doing girls basketball, because you have those volleyball girls that they'll be competing against, and they don't want any animosity. I think the girls would be fine, it'd be an adjustment, but that's one of their concerns, is that they don't want them to be frenemies for one season, and then have to come back and now be buddies and be teammates. You do it already.
I know kids have struggled. I will for years.
Oh, that's from here on out. But in football, we have one.
Yeah.
But big
It's a pretty entertaining boys basketball game, so that way you can tell it.
You know what I mean? Yeah, I know.
That was just something that they brought up.
Have the kids been asked their opinion, because I feel like we as parents hear a lot of their opinions at home, but I feel like that's a bigger conversation because they're the ones that are going to be affected the most from both schools.
yeah, not yet. That's on our plan.
I don't think blending together when you're in high school is that big a deal. When I was in high school, half of our team was Hebron kids for football, so, you know, we started playing 7th and 8th grade together. The Hebron kids are a little bit different and stuff, but.
Gotta be careful, we have the press here.
And that's what we were just talking about, like when my boys were there. I mean, the boys' basketball games were completely different. They were having conversations under the basket and joking, and I mean, they had a group. But that's also, no offense, it's also boys. A little bit different animal there. No offense.
When Richardson and Taylor got together, it wasn't all friends either.
Right, yeah, yeah.
And it's very real fun as far as I'm concerned.
If you were to do the co-op just for girls basketball next year, that would be 3 years. And the year after that, is it like you could co-op for the rest of the sports after that, and then those would be on a separate, like a staggered 3-year thing?
Yeah.
So you could make the decision on the other sports later,
Right.
if you wanted to, just to make sure those Hebron girls have a place to play basketball next year. You could do that
Right.
for next year, right?
Yeah.
Might not be a bad trial. I mean, to see how it can work.
Well, should we, if we're doing girls basketball, should we maybe just include the home right away too? That way if there's a couple of those girls that want to play, they can come over?
Hey, that broke us up.
Yeah, because it does.
You have to go whole enrollment then?
You count the whole enrollment, not just the players.
Yeah. That's the one thing people don't realize, is that you may have 20 girls total in 9 to 12, but only 3 play. They don't take the 3, they take the 20 when they figure their number. And that's
Yeah, but what about the 3 girls from Glenalla?
But they don't have 3 girls.
Not this year.
Catch up with Class A for the football.
Well, we're just so worried about these 3 Hebron girls, but we forget about the Glenalla girls. And we said already said the big bad guy. They already said no. You know, they would have said yes, maybe it would have been easy for us to.
Well, they said no because it would have bumped them up.
Yeah. And if we would take one on, that would put us over.
And either one can take over.
No. And I talked to Kevin, the guy from the HSAA, and I asked him his statistics. Because he said, well, you know, if you're closed, you can always petition. And I flat out asked him, how many petitions have you actually granted? And he said, I'm going to be honest, he said, less than 1.
Less than
One.
one.
I said, what's that mean? He goes, we considered 1, and then we found out some reasoning, and we denied it because of like some backlash that was coming from it. So the chances of you petitioning and staying down are almost 0. And again, it also depends on what the other schools are doing too. Because if you have a lot of schools that are getting boosted up, or a lot of schools that are pulling down, that's also going to affect the numbers as well.
schools are having a co-op now.
Quite a
for
few.
sports.
Quite a few.
So how much longer will there be like Class B before they have to change those numbers again?
Good questions. There's still like, especially on the east side of the state, there's 4 or 5 schools together, and they still don't reach that 162.
And that's one of the disadvantages over here, is we have so much more space between our cities. Over there, you go 8 minutes, 10 minutes, and you're at another school already.
Kidder County has 7 schools with them, 7 towns. 7 towns, and their farthest family is 60 miles away. One way. 60. 60. Yeah, that's why it's Kidder County.
So I'm just going to pose this question. And I mean, I'm trying to look at it from all angles. But so if we look at boys basketball, they're predicting 3 coming over. We could easily have a family move in here with 3 basketball players. Are we going to be upset that those 3 basketball players are playing basketball now? And taking playing time from our kids? I'm just saying, a lot of times, if that happens, we're cheering. Hey, we got a 6'6" kid, or whatever it may be. Exactly. Hebron has a 6'6" kid. I'm just saying, again, it's a frame of reference. It's your frame of mind. I mean, we're not bringing over 20 kids, and none of the Richardson kids are going to play.
I think 9 through 12 wouldn't be a bad thing. But you get to the younger kids, and even if you don't have a whole bunch, I mean, you're better off having almost 7 kids than having the crouch kids. Because that's what it turns into.
Yeah.
And from the coaching standpoint, if you guys want more coaches, the parents have to learn to back off a little bit, because coaches are, they're doing it like out of the goodness of their heart. Like my wife coached volleyball, she doesn't want to play volleyball, but she did just like that team. But us as parents, I mean, just as guilty as everybody else, you can't start busting their balls, especially if you're not allowed to do it. And if you don't like doing it, you can coach them. And that gives you a whole new perspective. I'm not used to being able to yell at everybody, and then we don't have refs because everybody's always tearing down the refs. You know? If you don't like it, we'll do something about it.
From the perspective of building a program, I would not recommend just doing high school and leaving out junior high. I think it's super important for the high school, your varsity team to initiate that system all the way even into elementary, but especially in junior high.
You come from bigger school, like I didn't come from big school, I think we graduated in 100. I mean, I played a lot of sports, and I was a big teammate on the field, and I had nothing to do with them off the field. That's sports, when you can hate somebody, but you're the teammate on the field, you die for them, after that, you don't care what less what happens to them. That's sports mentality in my eyes.
Competition makes athletes better. Absolutely. You can play some Pee Wee football.
Anything else on the board to consider?
Given the sort of disparity in the numbers, like there's more Richardson kids, would you consider a different split besides the 50-50 on the investment? I mean, like maybe 70-30 at least we spend 70%, and then 70% of the day home games are, I mean, I'm just curious.
Yeah, I mean,
I think the more input from the community, the more likely something like that is going to be. Because if you guys don't say anything, we're just going to get with them in the room and they're going to say, well, we want 50% or we'd like 50%. And if nobody's really said anything against that, why should we argue that we have all the cards, right?
Oh, yeah, I like that. I'm just looking at numbers thinking, oh, I don't.
Yeah, go for a little bit. Where are we going with that? So say we ponied up at 70% of the expenses, only asked you for 30. What do you see as a value there?
Well, I think it's more just like, you know, somebody talked about having more of the home games here and
Okay.
the revenue and the like. There clearly wasn't a concern about
Yeah.
They're losing some of those home court advantages, if you will.
Well, thanks.
If you do that, and 5 years from now, Hebron has 60% of the kids, and we have 40%, and we have 60% of the games over there, 40% over here.
Yeah, I'll take that risk.
Tenure in Scranton, I've only been to Scranton a long time. We're almost always, and they're too stubborn. So, I mean, I think we're kind of in a position where we can ask for what we want right now. Well, that's why it's termed too, because things can change.
Right, absolutely.
You know, if in 3 years, yeah, if in 3 years it flips, then I guess, and in 3 years, the decision's made if it continues the way it is.
So morning practices probably would be a thing with the time change, especially with the travel time. I think you'd have to cut those out, but you'd have an extra gym in the evening.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the heartburn's coming with the games, for sure. Giving them too many games is, I mean, you don't have to give them any games if you don't want to. You can say whatever you want. But there's still the travel time for practices, and I don't know how parents feel about that, but it's going to add some time to our kids' day, for sure.
Yeah.
But
Is it 12 miles, so add a half an hour at least? But with the other gym, we hopefully can get kids out of here sooner.
Right, yeah.
When they go there, if they have practice here for whatever team, the Hebron gets out an hour early, I would assume. So they're here when we start practice, right after school, right?
Right, but we wouldn't have to have girls practice in the gym and then boys practice after.
Right.
Or junior high and then varsity.
Or junior high and then varsity, whatever.
They're stuck waiting an hour
Right.
for their practice, but we can start here or bus over there and start.
Over there, or we're gonna, kids drive over there? I mean,
I think we would have to bus.
I would accept that too, because I wouldn't want a bunch of seniors driving over there.
No, that's asking for something that.
When we had gym issues here, when we were redoing the floor, I drove the shuttle bus to the West River when they had practice over there, and then at Dickinson Middle School, we provided it, and the kids were not allowed to drive unless they had an appointment or their parents were going to pick them up. We can set our guidelines for whatever we want when that happens, but I would like to have it bused just so that's one less worry, having kids out there.
Their high school numbers didn't look very good. What was it, like 41 or something they have there? Is that pretty average for them, or is that on the decline, or?
That's average for them right now. Their elementary grades are larger than their high school grades currently. So then those will come up, and that's why we start getting closer to that 162.
Did they have an elementary girls basketball program this year?
Yeah.
Was it just the 7 there, or?
Well, no, because their elementary is with
That would just be that was correct, this is high school.
No, that elementary is just Hebron kids. Their elementary program is with Glen Ellen.
Okay.
They go together.
So you had mentioned too that, you know, in a perfect world, your coaches would drive a bus. What happens if that coach can't drive a bus?
Yeah, find drivers somehow.
Would that go to a page drive bus?
Yes.
Learning to drive a small bus, right?
Under 14 and under.
Yeah, if you show up to the bus workshop in the hall.
Yeah.
And you got to pass the DOT physical.
Right.
But your assistant coaches that
Does everybody just want like another 20 mils in their property tax and build a bigger gym? Or?
Well, Hebron have a pretty big tax base over there? Aren't they a pretty wealthy school district? I mean, they bring in a lot of money, I thought for their side of it. Isn't their taxable land area larger than ours?
Right, but school finance isn't based on land anymore. It's based on the number of students. So we get around, I think it's around 12,000, a little under 12,000 per kid. And that's the funds that we get.
From the state?
Yeah.
But then you also get your land tax too, or not?
A portion of it.
He said your bills.
Yeah.
Well, that's what, if their numbers are declining, are they gonna need to eventually just district up with us? So that's what, if we have, that's why I was thinking they got a large area over their tax and stuff, so. We just have the junior high over there, the elementary in Taylor, and high school.
I'm in the Hebron district, we opened a row here. When we first moved here, I was paying more taxes to Hebron than I would have if I was in this district. And then that switched a little bit after the school went up. But I was told, I went to a couple of meetings, and we first got here in 2009, 2010, they were having a class of 6 and 8. And they were looking at potentially consolidating with somebody, and they were throwing names out, and they were a little nervous, and then they started getting more people moving in, and it's gone away lately. Their elementary is fairly large now compared to what they used to have. They had elementary classes, the one that Jacob would have been in was 4 kids in his grade. And then by the time they were in high school, they had doubled.
I think the reason Hebron approached us honestly is because their numbers and Glenalla numbers are possibly going to start declining. And it's not just going to be girls basketball, they're not going to have a team, and it's going to be pretty much all the other sports. There's a class in Glenalla, I can't remember what grade, I think there's 6 kids in it.
Yeah, it's an elementary, I think, isn't it? And this is the football co-op has been going well for so long that we were the first one on their list.
Well, is there anywhere else to go?
What's that?
I told they could go to Beulah.
Well, that's where Glenalla goes right now, they go to Beulah. I think they have 1 kid that has gone up, or 2 kids that have gone up there. Because New Salem said no, because that would have bumped them up. And if we would have taken them too, that would have bumped us up to the top in all sorts.
So we talked about consensus, just kind of for the board. So when we say no elementary, is that pretty much what we all agree with?
I think so.
Anybody not agree with that?
Well, are girls gonna have a team group then? Girls elementary? And they go up with us for that, since you said that.
Well, they have 7. For elementary, yeah, they can come over and play with us. So, I mean, that can be just an agreement.
They can come over now. I mean, that
That's
benefit
what I'm
doesn't
saying,
really
so,
matter.
yeah, how we just keep it separate if they want to, if they don't have players, we can have them. Because we're a little short of some grades too, like your 5th grade girls is, 6th grade, 2 and a half.
6 and 5th.
Right, so that would help us with that.
Great. So then the elementary would be like a sport by sport, number by number basis.
Now, just for clarification, though, in that situation, there would be no financial, it'd be up to parents, whoever to, or would we be able to make a financial agreement to bus in that situation?
We would still, I mean, the 2 districts could agree on what the finances would be, or how much bus was going to pay versus the other.
Okay.
I also feel like how many out of that 7 are actually going to want to come over
Right.
for elementary.
Yeah.
Given the option.
Great.
Can't say.
And then, okay, so then is the consensus just girl basketball to start for a year and then look at the other sports on the road? Or is it to do all basketball and leave volleyball and wait for volleyball until it makes more sense?
Are we gonna have to rename ourselves?
No.
They're under everything for us. They flat out said that they would just come under our colors, our name, our mascot.
So if we only do one sport or one, like girls basketball, that would be the only one that they would change, I guess, essentially, so they would have a different mascot for their other sports, or?
They would stay with Glen Ellen, so they'd still be the Bearcats.
So if it's a home game and we're keeping the Raiders, we're playing in Hebron, and it's a Bearcats gym, how is that a home game?
That's the mind shift.
I think they did change the floor. We're in a game in Hebron last week, and it's an H on the floor. It no longer has a Bearcat on there. I noticed that when I walked in. But I don't know about, like, I didn't pay attention to signage.
With boys basketball, or if there's another sport that we're, let's say, next year, Beulah decides, or Loveland decides to go to Beulah. So now these 3 kids are left.
That's awesome.
Alone. I mean,
That would be, yeah, that would be the case.
there isn't.
They barely have a team this year because when
But yeah, they were, yeah.
When the school doesn't offer those kids, there's not a special clause for them to go anywhere, they can't play no matter what.
They can, what's it called? Petition, I guess, the High School Activity Association. But I don't think, like they said earlier, they hardly ever do a petition, agree with it. They could come over and play with us. Yeah, but they wouldn't be able to play varsity.
Or they could just open a roller too.
Or they could do that.
I guess I would recommend to the board, since they are asking, and they're kind of the ones petitioning us, that you use that leverage to maintain the 50-50 financial split, and then just negotiate the games. If we decide we want 80% of the home games, what are they gonna do? I mean, you have the leverage, you might as well use it. And then that kind of covers the next 3 years, and then they can renegotiate if their numbers go up. But I would maintain your 50-50 financial split just because.
They have money.
Well, just because they're the ones, they're petitioning you, and I don't think they're gonna swallow for that. So I would just maintain that at least. And
When we first talked to them, they only talked about like 1 or 2 games. And then they had their community meeting, and then when they came back to us, that's when it was the 50-50.
Yeah.
So I'm sure their community's saying the same
Yeah,
thing.
Is the board considering a co-op with all the other things that are not sport related, the speech, drama, like is that going to be considered regardless of the sports?
That's up to us, up to the board, if they want to do that.
But they're treated just like a sport.
Right, you still have to apply, and still co-op.
So we had a kid that wanted to come up from Bowman to do our student congress. She was a state speech champion, and they decided that she was just going to go to golf instead. That would have been a fee for us to do, a fine for us to do that, for having one girl, and then I was going to actually travel down there once every couple of weeks to work with her. And that didn't end up happening, but even like if we wanted to pull somebody in, it has to be a co-op agreement.
I'd like to see a co-op with Hebron to get our numbers up for student congress, for speech, for drama, for fine arts stuff. And I would love to see FBLA, we're doing FBLA here now.
We're starting there.
We're starting one, but then they have FFA over there.
Right.
That would be huge. I know there's kids in this community who want to do FFA, but we don't have it. So I'd like to see a co-op with that regardless of the part that's done with the sports.
We had one kid that did FFA over there a while ago.
A long time
Yeah, a
ago.
long time ago. But it was because
Mr. Ziegler, are they still gonna co-op with Glen Ellen for FFA and that kind of stuff? Can we still co-op with them?
I don't think they go up with
They don't.
that stuff, no.
It's just teamwork.
But you could, I mean,
No, I was just wondering if they already had a co-op going with that we would be not allowed to do it.
Usually for those, it's a chapter and it's usually a school, and you have to apply to the FFA, and then you are considered then a charter to be with that school as one unit. So it's a little bit different, so we had to go through a couple hoops to get our own student.
It's different.
and the thing, I don't know,
That's any HSA.
maybe Mrs. Dorman can have a little bit of guidance, but for FFA, I know, before a student can be in an FFA chapter, they have to take an FFA course, which we don't offer. So that would be another thing, if we wanted to be in FFA with them, we would either have to offer an FFA course or then have, what's his name?
Zilke.
Zilke, yeah, in Hebron teach a course for our kids. And I'm not sure if it's the same for FBLA.
They have to have something that's awesome under their belt.
Yeah.
So could they take that course online?
Yeah.
Yes.
Because it's A1, is it still A1 that they?
There's more than one course, but, yeah.
I think it's all through our network.
Do they have to have a course each year, each school year to be
No.
good in it?
No, they just have to have one to take.
Okay.
What grades are those things for over there, do you know? Like FFA, like what grades does that specifically, like the fine arts stuff pertain to?
FFA starts in junior high, but it really doesn't, kicks off nice.
In our fine arts, the speech usually is 7 to 12, but the drama, we go all the way down to 4th grade, 5th grade, depending on if the parents allow their kids to participate.
And how many people you need for the play.
Yeah. Sometimes a play adjusts to people. We have a play that we're doing this spring. We have 30 kids that are signed up to do it, so we're getting there. We're building our
Anything else? Were you raising your hand? Or?
Yeah. I'm stuck on Blaine over there. That's what I'm stuck on. I think, again, they're gonna be in the same boat for boys if that doesn't happen. I mean, obviously. And it's gonna get sticky to where, well, this team's coming here, this team's coming here, but this team's gonna go here, and well, we're keeping this team with Glen, you know? But I'm being selfish for my program too. I just don't, I mean, like in my mind, yes, I understand it's another day and time and everything else, but I just don't understand why we put so many kids on a bus to go over there for 3 of their kids. I mean,
I think that's where you're going over there for the gym, not for the 3 other kids.
Yeah.
Just like you travel the 6 miles to Taylor.
Yeah. I mean, I know for a fact, I mean, if they're looking at the kid that is coming, he's gonna help us. And he's not, well, the other kids, I don't know, you know, coming up,
Are you talking about just the game or practices?
practices. Well, I'm talking about both actually.
Right.
Yeah.
What you suggested earlier, if we do one, you know, just maybe make one game over there and maybe a non-conference game or something like that, which would make sense. They can have their big spiel over there then at that day for them.
Because it's gonna get sticky too when you're talking, you know, like this year I have, you know, all the seniors, you know, and my senior night's gonna be here. Well, then next year, you know, if this happens, there's gonna be 4 seniors, and he's gonna be, I mean, well, no, that's not even, next year they wouldn't have one, it'd be Kevin's senior year. So there's gonna be 8 or 9 of them. Well, then does it mean anything for them to be over here for senior night? Well, I'm not gonna do 2 senior nights.
No.
You know, I mean,
Yeah.
and I think anybody in here that has ever coached or ever taught or anything, you have your selfish streak too, where it means more
I think it's easier for basketball because you said there's only 3 kids, but what about volleyball then? So
Yeah.
we don't have a volleyball coach. I don't know, are they any good at Hebron? I mean, what's their record? Yeah.
They're good.
They're good then, right? So they're going to want us to go over there.
They were one of the top in the region.
I think they're
Right.
15-7.
They're pretty good this year.
But they don't have a coach. Right? So that must have allowed them to win all the girls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, and that's where it gets fuzzy.
Right.
Because then I also, a couple people have approached me, and they're in the Glen Ellyn region, in the Glen Ellyn district, and they want to put their kids in Hebron so they can come this way. And I said, well, don't do anything drastic. I said, we're just talking right now. There's a little bit of bubble that way too. So these numbers could fluctuate. There could be some kids who are like, no, we don't want to go there. We're gonna open it all the Glen Ellyn. We don't know. They're gonna have the same talk that we have and have for a little bit longer than we have. I really would like to hear what the kids have to say. How do you plan on doing that? Personally, I think it should be each grade level sitting down, having a conversation with them. If you get them in a mass in that gym, it's gonna be chaos. But I think sitting down class by class, having open conversations, being honest, and just say, we want to know. Like, we need to know your concerns, we need to know your thoughts, your feelings. Because if it ends up coming out to it, where this is gonna detrimentally hurt our kids, no. That's not what we're doing here. The point is we want to do it so that we can better our program and help out another school if we can.
But what if some of them don't want to, say their honest opinions, in fear that they're going to be targeted from their peers?
And maybe we do a questionnaire. I mean, that's what we'll have to do. And yeah, you're always going to have those kids that are going to try to influence somebody. We're going to have to try to get as many opinions out as honestly as we can.
Is there a deadline? I mean, they gotta have this decided or get votes soon, or?
We have to have it decided by the end of the season for the winter sports, which is middle of
You just
March.
have about
It's just a fun
Well, but if we decide before the end, I think it's the state tournament. We have to have it done by the end of the state tournament, like the agreement has to be filed. If it's after that, that would be where the fine starts kicking in.
Right.
Yeah, so like if we decide to go all sports right now, we'd have to pay for cross country, we'd have to pay for volleyball.
Did track.
And then track, I mean, if we really wanted to, you could go sport by sport and do an individual contract for each one of them. I mean, that's a lot of paperwork, but I mean, if that's what we do, that's what we do.
Yeah. Track. Yeah,
Same
we could do
thing.
track, but it wouldn't start
Yeah.
this spring, it would start next.
Next spring. So we could say we wanted to do track next year, right now, and we'd be fine. We could do it right now, or we can't do it now if we miss the deadline. We'd have to
Ready for
pretty
this
much
year.
tell us no.
I'm all about getting the kids' opinion, right? But in that fact, are kids generally more willing to try something new or to just stay with what we have and we're just going to get a bunch of opinions? Well, I know my friends that are here right now, rather than open it up and try to actually benefit the sports, I guess. That's my issue with asking the kids. I mean, I'm assuming all of you parents talk to your kids before this and you're bringing their concerns with you, or if you're not, then you don't think that their opinions are valid at adult conversation. So I guess that's where I'm at on that.
From my experiences, and even from the co-op down in my region, Elgin, Leipzig, kids don't care. They just want to play. They don't care who they're playing with. For the most part, there might be some. But any co-op is usually the adults that have the hardest time.
And it's hard to get the small businesses. So top mentality, everybody wants to give up what they have, and I can't, like, those are 6 towels right from the just came together, the Italians didn't want to eat people just in the past. But eventually, it's just gonna turn into, I mean, we're gonna end up probably going to school here eventually, because you can only hold on for so long as not financially feasible or other schools in their state. And you bring more kids in, maybe get some of the cliques out of sports too, where those girls are real cliquish, I noticed that. Like, the
Junior high? Yeah.
Yeah, it's you bring more kids in, or maybe, like, yeah, I don't think the kids care for them, they think so.
How many parents do you think your kids already know Hebron kids?
Probably, yeah.
Absolutely. Nowadays, social media and everything else, they already know each other.
Well, for a lot of years, they've also been playing each other. And so tournaments, things like that,
Right.
and they're all in the bleachers, they're all in competition. So I feel like they've already formed relationships with a lot of the Hebron girls, at least from our perspective.
Right.
I mean, 87 to 12 wouldn't be bad if it wouldn't put us in a logistical nightmare of trying to bust kids and all of it. That's the biggest drawback is.
It will be.
Is getting kids to somewhere 12 miles away.
I was one of the kids that lived this in Elgin, New Leipzig when we started the co-ops. Track and football was already combined for as long as I can remember. And then I was a 6th grader, I think, when girls combined with Elgin. I didn't want to go to Elgin to play. And a handful of the girls, I think I was the only one in my class that actually went over there, but I wanted to play. So, yeah, I mean, it's not comfortable, but if you want to play, you want to play. So I'm guessing these numbers could change. There might be some kids that are like, no, I don't really want to go over there to play. Yeah, and then my senior year, the schools combined, which was really hard for boys basketball because we were still separate the year before. So that's where, but it only took a couple of years and then everybody was chummy. Like the first couple of years was hard. But that was before Facebook and Snapchat and Google. I'll see you.
I've been through multiple ones where when I first got my first teaching job, it was Hope Page. And then it was Hope Page, Clifford Galesburg. Then it was Hope Page, Clifford Galesburg, Fielding Sharon. So, I mean, I've seen it from all gamuts. It's just the way you approach it. And we're just gonna have to be honest and open about everything. And that's why we want to know.
So is there a way that you can send out like anonymous polls to students and then also to parents that maybe couldn't make it tonight and we can all kind of give our ideas on yes, no, willing to help, concerns, whatever, that, and then you can collectively read everything?
Yeah, we have a survey, there's a survey monkey that we have that we can create our own surveys, and then we can send them out, links out, they can through an all, can't we? We need to.
Yeah, we can just put a link on it all.
Yeah, if we had to, that's an option.
I would recommend just doing the girls' basketball and having all the practices and games stay here. If it's only for 3 girls, just let them come over here on their own and figure it out. So. And then if we need to in the future, we'll do more. We can keep building on from there.
I agree, that'd be a good start. I just, looking at the numbers, I don't think we need them, and I know John says maybe our numbers will go down in the future, but junior high is tough, junior high girls is really tough. High school girls is tough, so maybe we need to look at the reasons that our girls aren't wanting to play and fix that. And maybe we won't have to worry about bringing people in to fill positions.
I know I said earlier, it's through the whole state, the whole country.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think it's just an anomaly that it's us. I think it's just, in general, it's declining.
Yeah.
Sports in general are declining.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like I said, I don't think it's necessarily one thing that's happening here why we're not getting numbers, because you look at even, you know, our oldest, when she was younger, we had a lot of girls that were playing basketball, and then they slowly started dropping off as they were getting older, and just, that's the trend that's happening.
I guess my question is, like, for those of you that are saying, like, just girls basketball, are you not wanting to do any of the other extracurriculars either, like speech, drama, FFA? Do you not want to pop any of those chapters or class things either?
Yeah, they're not on the list.
Our numbers are lower. I mean, I know Chad knows this from when he was in high school. I mean, we used to have 30, 40, 50 kids on the speech team. We had 25 kids on student congress. We're down to 4 to 6 because they are doing other things, and that's great. But I mean, we were really successful, but they've dropped off because that's not a desired skill that they want to do anymore. They're out playing and doing other things.
I would say the same thing to those, if they want to come over here and do some fine art stuff, I'm fine with that. But I don't want to go over there to do fine arts.
And how open does it have to be? Like, you have to list everything out, you know, where it's, you know what I mean, where, I mean, like in Rocker Elementary, I'm talking like just like your co-curricular, extracurricular, whatever.
Yeah, you would have to list each one,
Yeah. If it's NDHSAA affiliated, you have to list each one on the application. And the grade levels, I believe, that they have to, that they're considering.
Is esports a part of that?
Yes.
So how does that work then, if you gotta list all the grade levels? Let's say the girls basketball this year. Since I personally have a 7th grader playing up in the JV, so if we only list 9 through 12, where does that?
They're not considered in the numbers for telling us which class level we are, but, okay, we're not the only school. Heading Scranton had to wait till after Christmas as well to have a B squad because they're low on numbers. They had to bring up junior high as well.
Right,
So
but
it's-
he's
they're not-
asking if we only approve for the 9 through 12.
We can
Or
bring
we
them-
only list 9 through 12, because I'll tell you right now, there's not 8 junior high girls going out for basketball next year.
No.
I mean, we can be hopeful, but if we go off of this year's season, what those numbers are, there's 4. So 4 plus their 3 coming over, that doesn't make a junior high team. So then, is that even enough for a junior high season? What does that look like for those junior high girls to be able to play up right away if they don't get a season?
Well, then usually you bring up 6th graders, you bring up 6th graders from both schools then?
We did that for junior high, we had one.
And then we're making the 8th graders play with 6th graders for an 8th grade season.
That doesn't work out, because you get 6th graders, they pummeled by 8th graders.
Yeah.
Yes.
If we don't do junior high and go up, because they be moved up, if they're not in that.
I honestly couldn't tell you that.
So I think one of the questions is, if you only do 9 through 12, and you don't do 7th and 8th grade, can you still pull those 7th and 8th graders up?
From both schools.
I think that's why you just want to do 7 through 12.
I'm gonna say probably not, unless, because it would have to come from, it would have to come from what we agreed upon, and then if we don't agree upon it, I don't think we can bring them up.
So.
No, I think you would be able to, because again, even girls could come over and play now if they wanted, but they couldn't play varsity. So if those junior high girls wanted to come over and play junior high, they could do that.
Okay.
They just can't.
That's what's on the table though, actually, they're talking about 8th graders playing varsity.
Well, I know, but then I'm saying, the only time you're looking at 9 through 12, just for that number. You're not saying how many 9th graders, how many, you're just saying 9 through 12th grade, we have this many girls, that puts us at this division. So if you wanted to move 8th graders up, you can move 8th graders up.
I don't co-op junior high. If you just co-op 9 through 12, can you pull your junior high up?
I will call Kevin, and I will give an answer to that. So I honestly don't know what
What
they're
they're worried about is
So-
not being able to play.
But however, a co-op, all a co-op is doing is pretty much, if you think about it, is making one school. So right now, our 9 through 12 numbers are counted, we pull up 8th graders. right? So if they're counting 9 through 12 with 2 schools, we could still pull up 8th graders.
Do they pull up their 8th graders?
University.
I think you would, not varsity.
Yeah, well, I would think.
Yeah.
Does that answer the question, Mr. Johnson?
I will call tomorrow morning and get an answer given for sure, because I'm not gonna sit here and tell you, yes or no, because I honestly couldn't tell you, I've never had to deal with that.
I think it would be hard to start in 9th grade.
Well, I agree, if we're looking at an initial term of 3 years, those 7th and 8th graders are going to be 9th through 12th. So why wouldn't they want to start playing and developing teammates now versus in 2 years, 1 year, depending on where they're at in the thing? That kind of is silly to make a hard cutoff like that.
And back to I don't know, we were saying 3 for girls basketball, that's 3 for junior high. High school girls, they're projecting 6. It's the high school boys where they only have 3.
Yeah, but this year's 3, right?
These are projected for next year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, right now, they have 3 girls that can't play basketball.
Right.
So, have we told them to come and play here? Are they good enough to make varsity anyways?
I can't do that.
What was that?
Can't do that.
Well, you just said that they can come here and they play JV.
And they go to JV.
Our junior high? No, right? We're not. That's level.
The high school girls, even in the individual team, we technically they could have been on and played, they were just sent out, lazy spot, maybe, they can't do varsity. But that was never approached with us about it, they never asked. And I didn't even think about it. Well, they didn't cancel their season until like. Yeah, so they didn't cancel until about a week before, which meant they never had an opportunity to practice anything. But, I mean, hindsight's 20/20.
And the reason why they protect that varsity sport is because, like, say, Bismarck districts, people are just hopping to the good teams. So then you have a kid that's in the Bismarck High district, but Century's better, so I'm gonna go to Century. So in fact, right now, there's some investigations, we'll say, you know, with an apartment in the Century district, but just because of an address, it's fine, but nobody's living there. But they live in Bismarck High district, if that makes sense.
We had that in my other school. They got her an apartment, but because the parents didn't live with her, she was disqualified from varsity sports because it was against the rules.
So Dr. Taylor, do you remember when they had a conversation with the high school boys with Mullen for next year, they would not have enough also?
I don't remember them saying that.
I think they said this year, I have quite a few, but again, like 5 or 6 seniors before between the 2 schools, and that's like half their team.
We did have a JV and a varsity game, right? There was
Cecil and Mercy.
Yeah, so they had enough for 2 teams, so I don't. There was 6 teams. So it sounds like what I'm hearing from everybody is that we're okay with the sports where our numbers are down and like fine arts and things where we can grow our programs for the school. But for the sports with a lot of kids already, that's where the hesitation is.
Yes.
Yes, I agree. I mean, that's just what I'm gathering from all this. And that's all.
Sorry, back to boys basketball, Hebron graduates 3 seniors this year, just Hebron. So they would bring over only Reed and probably Levi next year. That is very, I don't know.
10th grader. Is it an 8th grader?
No 8th grader.
No 8th grader.
That's the number that I got.
That's what makes it hard.
Yes.
To go there for anything, like why can't we just do it like we do football, where they just come here? That's what I did in New Leipzig. I just went to Elgin because New Leipzig was done.
I think that's I mean, that's a possibility. But then do we still, like the question came up earlier, do we change our percentages then and go 70, 30, 80, 20 instead of 50, 50 if we're gonna do everything here?
Everything you can.
You'd still get more revenue from home games.
Or not bring it up. Because then, okay, so back to boys basketball, say, so they bring those two. So Reed is sophomore, Sweet Pea junior, and then Levi's a freshman. Okay, so then those off years, what is it gonna mean to anybody over there playing over there besides the revenue that they're getting, you know what I mean?
It's just in their gym.
Right.
I mean, just like any other school, they don't wanna lose their identity.
Yeah, well, absolutely, I totally understand that, we talk about a little bit of pride and culture and this into the whole work. I mean, 3 years is a long time to say, yeah, we played over there, but yet there may be a year that we don't even have any kids that's come from there.
Right.
That's what I'm saying.
Right,
Yeah.
absolutely, yeah.
Could it be written then that if nobody is flying from there on a year, that there are no games there? Like, you know, like, if they don't give any kids for a certain sport, that it would just all be here.
I think, I mean, it might be hard to figure out finance-wise, but I think it would be good if that's the way we want to go, where we say the percentage of kids from Hebron determines the percentage that we're going to charge for Hebron. So, I mean, if they're bringing 2 kids, we're going to do an 80-20 or whatever. If they bring 10 kids, it's going to be closer to that 50-50. Amber will have fun.
I was gonna say that. But I think the general consensus too is that we can be selfish because they're coaching us.
Right.
I mean, there's a lot of.
And they know that. I mean, they've said that.
Yeah, a lot of things still up in the air that I guess they could be coaching, I guess.
Yeah, it's gonna be a little bit more inconvenience for them than us, like, we shouldn't be going out of our way. I mean, we should be glad to do it, but we're not gonna make our lives harder to make it easy.
So what's the consensus on that? Where it's a percentage of the number of kids we get?
Just do girls basketball, everything there.
Just girls basketball?
Yes, and then I'll probably worry about the other stuff when the time comes.
I agree with that, guys.
See how this works with one sport, and if in the future we need to do more, then we can always do more.
And I think you can do 50-50 on revenue, but you could do the 80-20 on home games or whatever. They could be 2 separate things. Because you're still splitting the cost. They have a sport, we have a sport, so you should still split that 50-50. But then if they got 3 kids, you know, we got 10, they get, you know, do it that way. But 30% of home games or something like that.
Yeah.
But I agree, I guess with these guys on girls basketball, maybe as a trial, have something for 3 years, or that's just my opinion.
Well, I think another one to consider would be cross country too, because our numbers, if you look at it, like I'm on the team, so what I've heard is it's just going down. Like we're not really gaining anyone, but we're losing people. And Hebron does have a pretty decent team, so we only have we had a full boys team this year, so 5 and 2 girls.
Well,
So
I think cross country would actually be the opposite. We'd be the one bringing
yeah,
the smaller
they have
number
more
of
than
kids
us.
over
And
there.
if you really think about it, like practices don't really need to be together. I mean, you're just running. It's not like necessarily a team sport. And I don't think it'd be a big issue with, you know, the bonding of it either. Because it's not, like I said, yes, it's a team sport, but it's also individual.
Well, it helps when you have 2 coaches.
Yeah.
One for each school.
Mm-hmm.
Help me out there. What number do you need for a team for cross country?
So it's 5.
Five.
So for girls, like I said, we only had 2 this year, and then we had, I think, 5 or 6 for boys, but I know there's quite a few of them contemplating not coming out.
And the
this
team
next fall
aspect of
meeting.
that is to get enough points in a match to
Yeah,
score
so, like,
versus others? Okay.
For example, for like regionals or state, like for girls, we don't even, there's no way we can place or anything because we don't have the full team.
So they compete individually
But, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you can run 10 girls, you can run 15 girls, they're only gonna count your top 5.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
How did they used to do didn't they do a wrestling co-op with Hettinger or something? But you just practiced separate, but when you had games, or when you had...
And individual sports, you can do that.
Yeah, so like this would be something where you could pretty much be separate, but then be a joint team when you go to meets, possibly.
And track is kind of the same concept too.
We used to have a wrestling tournament here too, way back.
Little kids.
Yeah, elementary. Yeah, but otherwise it was always down.
I mean, it could work the same way, where we have our own coaches here, they have their own coaches, but when we go to a meet, we're running under the same flag, for lack of a better word.
Yeah, because, and another thing too, if like you look at our region for track, we're against Bowman, Kildare, like it's a very competitive region that we're in, and with our numbers from Richardson, it's going to be really hard to either place at regionals or if you want to see the state placings. And like, it's kind of like I said for cross country, you don't necessarily need every practice to be together. Maybe like once a week for relays to practice those, but other than that, you could keep it pretty separate.
Cost-wise, you probably want to have like pole vaulters practice together and things that have really expensive equipment. So, yeah, yeah. So boys basketball consensus is no, even though it's 2 kids, maybe 3.
Well, no, it's a bunch of kids who let on actually that are going to be left out. Well, it is though, isn't it?
But either,
how many kids are going to be left out of the
I don't know.
But even if they stay together, they're gonna have a team too. I mean, it seems like they're.
Yeah, from what I'm hearing, they won't have a team next year either way.
So when you just taking care of sports, not just girls or boys, do all basketball, like that's how it's gonna be?
Well, the application would have to be separated, girls and boys.
Right, but I'm saying we do start with one sport versus just girls, just boys, we just do girls and boys basketball.
Absolutely.
It's gonna be only 2 kids from there, as she's saying, that to me, we're gonna let the girls do it, so they have a team, and then the boys don't have a team next year because, oh, we don't wanna include them?
Right.
Well, the more we give them though, the more we do them, the more we have to go over there. That's why we just do girls basketball and fine arts is just.
But do we have to go over there? We're in charge. We can do what we want.
Yeah,
but that's the thing. Huh? Well, that's what I'm saying. We're in charge. We can say we don't want to go over there.
Yeah, but I'm saying, starting with all the other sports, they're gonna want more than.
Well, they can say they want more, but we're in charge. This is our place, you know. I mean, my feeling is that we just combine with everybody. If it works out for 3 years, we do it. If it doesn't, we drop it. Because some of these kids aren't going to be able to play at all. Like Chad was saying, some of these guys need to play. I understand the Glen Holland players too, but they can maybe enroll with Glen Holland or somebody over there too. Maybe they can enroll with us if so be it. But we just have the power. If we want practices over there, we decide to have the practices over there. I mean, they might not go for it, but so what? Then they don't have a team. You know, we have the power.
I think if you look around the region over the last 10 to 15 years, and you look at the co-ops that have happened, the ones that are, we're going to do this sport, or we're going to do this sport, or we're going to do this, are ones that don't last past 3 years.
Right.
If you want to actually make it work, and it's going to be a challenge, it's going to be a hardship on the kids at times, it's going to be a hardship on us as parents at times. But I think if you're looking for a long-term solution for making sure that we have numbers for our kids to participate in sports in this school, I don't know. To me, I think picking one is, and not the other is hard.
Or in anything they want to do. It can be fine arts, it can be sports, it can be whatever. You know, I mean, I think giving them the opportunity all the way across the board is important. Exactly. Yeah. And that's the thing too that we kind of hang our hat on too is, you know, we allow our kids to be in anything they want to be in. because us as coaches respect each other and give them the time that they deserve for their season. Like we had kids running cross country doing football. I mean, that's a tough challenge. It is. But he was allowed to do it. I mean, and he did fine. They did struggle a little bit there for some time with an injury, but I mean, that comes back to a parent choice too then. I mean, because I know there are schools around here that they don't. They are telling their kids they need their kick.
Yeah.
It's not really a fair shake, I guess. And they have to pick early.
Right. We didn't want to keep you all night. Any last comments, questions, concerns?
Parents and students.
What's that?
Any other survey? To parents and students.
Parents and students. Okay, I'll put that on my list.
My opinion is all or nothing. I mean, we do it all our sports, so we can say no. Because, I mean, you guys think convenience, but when you have younger kids, I mean, travel ball, what's like one new kid, you I'm sure all the kids also really should. You just get used to it.
Just be glad we don't have hockey.
And I will call Kevin right away in the morning. Do you guys have any concerns about bringing the junior high up for high school if we don't include that in the co-op? Just drop me an email, call the school. My extension is 1074 and I'll explain it to you if you want it. Email, text, whatever. Just let me know, but I'll call her. Unless you want me to call you directly, I will. Okay, good.
So I guess, last comment while we're leaving, our goal is we're having this meeting tonight. Wednesday night is a joint board meeting between our board and Hebron, and that's where we're going to bring up all of your concerns at them, and that's where we'll try and figure things out. No decisions are going to be made at that meeting either. And then the February regular board meeting, which is it the 11th, is the date we would like to make a decision, just so we don't hit that $500 fine. If we're not worried about that $500 fine, then we can delay that decision as well.
Is that split 50-50 too?
I would.
Because if we do each individual sport, we gotta pay, you have to pay for each one. Is it the same if you apply for like all the whole, like there's one big bundle? Or if you apply individually, you pay like every time you put in a contract, you gotta pay the same amount?
No, the fine is only if you don't get it in
No,
on
that's
time.
fine. Like, say if you decide just to do like basketball this year or whatever, you pay so much, and then
You don't have to pay anything.
Oh, you don't pay nothing unless you're paying a fine?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
But if we decide to do them all, cross country and volleyball, we have to pay the fine.
Yeah.
Is that a holiday?
Huh? Because the deadline's already passed. You have to pay for volleyball and cross country, we did everything. Because football's already co-op, it's already decided. It would be cross country and volleyball that we have to technically pay for. Okay, did you guys have any questions last week? No, it's just 9 through 12. Yep.
So I mean, when we say an application, actually we would do an application for every sport.
Yeah.
It's not one application with all the sports.
And if you guys have any lasting questions, any issues, anything you want to be brought up, please let us know. I mean, you can contact either of us or administration. I know they love my volunteering for them. But, I mean, we honestly want to know. Because this is not going to be something that's going to be snap our fingers, it's going to be magically delicious and everything is fine. We're going to have to go through growing pains and we're going to have those uncomfortable conversations. We have to.
You want to adjourn?
Meeting adjourned.
Thank you everybody. Be looking out for that survey.